the season. I'll show you some tips and tricks along the way to help you find them. In this video, we're also going to be testing out a couple of things. Like there's a thermal imaging device that can be used in the find wells. It doesn't even work at all. It's something that I've heard people say before that works, so I figured I'd test it out myself. Same with mushroom hunting glasses. We're going to see if these work as well. So join me as I hunt for this delicious forest delicacy. These tips I'm going to show you are kind of specific to my area in Pennsylvania and the surrounding areas. So your area might be a little different. So I'm looking for a few different things. Damp, loamy soil, kind of loose soil. You don't want the soil to be too hard or compact. You want to find an area with really lush green growth, where plants like trillium, May-apples, bloodroot, wood nettle, stinging nettle, trout lilies, where things like that grow. The temperatures have to be right. You want the ground temperature to be somewhere around 50 to 60 degrees. I do best mid to late April and early May. A few days after a rain, and places where other mushrooms grow. And moss, it's a good indicator of damp soil. But you don't want the soil to be too wet. And secluded places. Like if you're in a public area, you want to go deep into the woods where nobody else goes, or at least where very few people go. I like to hike as far as I can in the deepest, darkest parts of the woods. And you want a good walking stick so you can kind of push the brush aside.
Nissan Rogue has been named a Consumer Guide Best Buy for 11 years in a row. Drive the award-winning Nissan Rogue today.
Your dreams, make them real. Chanel, Dior.
At Macy's, the fragrance destination.
Places I like to look are creek banks or river banks, where all the spores have washed down the hillsides, and they kind of collect in those areas. Plus, the ground usually stays damp in those areas. Morels have a symbiotic relationship with the roots of certain species of trees. They obtain carbohydrates and nutrients from them, while the tree benefits from the added moisture and nutrients that the morel's mycelium pulls up from the ground, but the tree's roots have a hard time reaching. So they exchange resources. Certain trees that I'm looking for are tulip poplar, hickory, black cherry, sycamore, white ash, and my number one favorite, elm. But more specifically, elms that are in the process of dying. If they're missing some of their bark, that's perfect. If they're missing too much of their bark, might be too far gone, might not be any morels on it. So it's got to be in kind of the perfect stage of dying. So there's a black cherry there. I've never found too many around cherries, but I do hear that they do grow on them. So I'm pretty much hunting trees. The other nice thing about them is they come up usually in the same spots year after year. Not forever though. There's one spot I know where I've been finding them for 10 to 15 years. They used to produce a lot more back then, but I do still find a few to this day. But sometimes they'll grow under a certain tree until it's dead. And then once it's dead, they won't grow there anymore. Personally, I prefer foraging for chanterelles and chicken of the woods because they're bright orange and you can see them from a mile away. Morels, not so much. You actually got to put the time and effort in and actually hunt the things. You just want to scan the area for trees. That looks like it might be a dying elm. I'm going to check that out. They can be hard to identify by just the bark because they look very similar to other trees. Also, there seems to be a lot of grapevines in the same areas where I find a lot of morels. Not sure if there's any science behind that, but that's been my observation over the years. One way to identify elms is sometimes their roots will be exposed, kind of like this, and kind of fan out right over there. I spotted it from a distance. You can see the bark is falling off. Still has some of the bark on the tree, so There's another dying tree over there. Not sure what that one is yet. But we're going to go check it out. And it's looking like we found some morels. Check that out. There's one there too. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about this. Just want to be very careful not to step on any. Before I pick these, I like to tap off the spores. It's an ugly one, but I'll take it. When you find one, just want to stop, take your time, and scan the area. It can be hard to find in this thicker stuff, and a lot of times you'll miss some. And here's a good example. I must have stepped over this one about 10 times, and I didn't even see it. When I first started using these glasses, they didn't work like I thought they were going to. They don't make the mushrooms glow or anything like that, but they do help. It does seem to ease up the contrast that's on the forest floor. This makes it a little easier to see certain things. I need all the help I can get when I'm looking for these things, so I don't mind having them. Most of the time they grow in patches, so usually if there's one, there will be more.
Season after season, the passion for the pursuit remains. With each new buck comes new photos and videos, revealing the big picture in the palm of your hand. Stealth King, the leader in cellular trail camera technology.
If you want a high-performance, fully automated robotic lawnmower that can handle complex terrains, slopes, and precise edge cutting, you're going to want to check today's video out. All right, guys, welcome back to another video. If you guys enjoy keeping a nice-looking lawn, but you don't want to be spending hours mowing your lawn, pushing your mower around, doing all that extra work, today I have an awesome product for you guys. We're going to be going over the EcoVax Goat A2500 RTK. This machine came to me. I was really interested in grabbing it because honestly, when I spend a lot of time in my front yard, I kind of do neglect my backyard. It doesn't get mowed nearly as often. It doesn't get as much attention. So I wanted something that can kind of help me.
And I didn't even know there was one under this leaf. I like to keep them in a mesh bag so when I carry it around the woods, the spores will fall off and scatter on the ground. There's one over here. They're not going to be under elms like that have been dead for a long time. Only the ones that still have some of the bark on them. Sometimes I'll hike several miles and I won't find a single mushroom. That's just how it goes. So don't expect to go out into the woods and just find all kinds of them right away, because most of the time that doesn't happen, at least not for me. Ramps, also known as wild leeks. They taste just like a cross between onion and garlic. Very, very strong flavor. And a lot of times where I find these, I'll find morels in the same area. I always think these are morels when I first see them. Some pheasant backs. These are good to eat too. Perfect growing stage of this too. Here's an elm here. You can see how the roots are kind of fanned out above the ground. This one is alive, so probably not going to find any morels under it. Okay, so there's another dying elm over there. So nothing under that one, but I'm going to keep looking. More pheasant backs. The only problem with morel hunting is it's very addicting. Once I find a good patch of them, I don't want to leave the woods until I find more, until I can't walk anymore, whatever one comes first. I'm trying to get down to this creek bottom. It's a little steep. I guess I'm going to have to slide down there. Woo. Made it. A lot of times you'll find them, these sandy creek banks. All right, so I just saw one right off the trail. Decent sized one. See if you can see that. So there's the mushroom, and there's a sycamore right over there. So I got to be very careful where I step as I'm walking in here. See if I could find any more growing. Found another one about 10 feet away. Just look how good these things blend in. There's the glasses. Sycamore. Morel. Morel right there. I could check 100 sycamores and not find a single morel. But every now and then, a sycamore will come through for me. They like damp soil, and so do morels, just not too wet. Not too dry, not too wet. Somewhere right in between, but more on the damp side. They're very particular. A little overkill, you might say, and you'd probably be right. I just needed an excuse to try out my new knife. So I'm finding morels scattered all through this area, so I'm going to look through here really good, make sure I don't miss any. You can pull them out of the ground, it doesn't matter. I just like to cut them. That way, less dirt will get in my bag. There's got to be more in here somewhere. Might need a chainsaw for this one. Couple nice ones. Found another one. Cool. Let's keep looking for more. Forgot my bag. I wanted to try the Rattler out today. I've always heard that you can spot morels with a thermal imaging device. I have the thermal set to white hot, which means that the warmest objects are going to be more white in color, while cooler things are going to be dark gray and black.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. With Skyrizi, feels symptom relief at 4 weeks. Many people were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 3 years.
Don't use Allergic.